Hey guys, welcome back to Cloud Inspired. We're going to do a little bit more of a drawing journal, I guess. I didn't practice as much as I would have liked this week, but we did practice and we focused on drawing the human head. The human head is one of the things that I've practiced a lot as I was growing up, but I never really sat down, broke down the basics, and took it through an extensive practice with purpose, I guess I would say. So I'm going to start off and I'm going to show the nitty-gritty. I am not happy with really any of the images or the practice that I did. Happy with the practice, not happy with any of the results. But being the first week that I've actually started trying something like this, I'm pretty happy with how things turned out. So I'm just going to show you everything I worked on. So the first stuff that I started doing was I switched my brush over to like a rough pencil so that I wouldn't be as concerned about the lines. The less I cared about it, the better. I drew a couple things just after briefly watching a YouTube video. I actually found a guy named Proco who was really, really helpful in what he was teaching. Granted, I haven't watched all of his stuff, so I'm not giving him the gold star for everything that he puts out there, but for this style, I guess the Loomis style head, it was really good. What I noticed right out of the get-go after drawing like 10 heads was I was missing part of it. I was making these really pointy chins, like the human chin is like a spearhead. Rather atrocious, I know, but it was helpful after the fact to look back at it after comparing it to something that it should look like and go, oh, this is why almost all of the heads I was drawing from any sort of an angle looked like garbage. So then we went back and we actually just more or less copied the stuff that he was doing in the lesson to give better angles, get the proportions down, and then I started seeing what I was doing wrong, which was also helpful. Just producing mass quantities of something starts to ingrain in you why certain things look the way that they do. So I wasn't doing it right at the beginning, but I was still trying, and then once I looked at and started doing something a little bit more structured, I was able to see, hey, clearly here's one thing, my chins. Horrible. Easy fix though, so we got that. Then we took, I guess kind of cheated. We used Procreate's shape creation to just do a bunch of circles across the board to then practice doing different angles with this method. So we drew a bunch of little heads, so I wasn't quite as focused on detail, more or less focusing on angling and proportion. And I just ran across and did as many different angles as I could. Then after doing all of these angles, we then copied them, turned them into a lighter orangish hue, lowered the opacity, and drew over them. Again, after not doing a lot of studying on features, this was just me trying to get as much hands-on experience with doing it before I really dug into it. So after the fact, as I've started practicing more and looking more at reference and things like that, I can look back at these heads and go, yikes, this is why this specific head looks bonkers. Some of them, like my middle line was totally off, or the line on the side of the head was a specific angle, but then the center line didn't match that same angle, so their head is like weirdly oblong because I just didn't follow the basic simple rules. And if you don't follow those basic simple rules at the beginning, obviously from really painful and raw experience this week, the heads look like garbage. Then we kind of use some reference to kind of look at other heads people were drawing and just quickly sketched out some stuff. Used the same rules, but then also you'll notice I kind of am drawing the chins differently. It's because the people I was using as references were drawing them differently. I'm not trying to rough out a good piece of art here, more or less. I'm just seeing why they're drawing the face the way that they're drawing it and the shape of the head the way they're drawing. Even still, I was doing it quickly. So none of these pieces that are practice sketches I was working on, I spent really more than 20 minutes on, really. Probably more like 10 minutes on something like one of these heads. Trying to switch up some of the angles, things like that. Something I'm noticing more and more as I practice is when the head is at the angle, I really struggle, or from the side, like a profile shot of the head, I'm really struggling with how to draw lips and how to draw that far away eye over here, because it's kind of strangely angled. I don't know, I'm struggling with it. You have to draw the eyelid a specific way, you have to draw the lips a specific way, and so we're trying different things, looking at different references, and just more or less stumbling through it and finding interesting ways to cope with that. Not really happy with any of these, but again, a sketch like this, you would rough out a sketch like this, maybe draw a couple more of them, pick the best one, the angle that you want, the composition that you'd want, and then you'd spend a copious amount of time finishing the piece of art. So being a sketch, all I'm focused on this week was proportion and getting it to look somewhat normal. After that, we experimented with some of our own stuff. Not as many, again, as I needed to, but I explained to somebody else the process of doing it. And you know, what's really interesting to me is when you have to regurgitate the information to somebody else, it helps you focus much more. So any advice that I could give to somebody in learning something would be, do it in a way in which you can teach it to somebody else. Even if you don't necessarily have to teach it to somebody else, try to retain the information in a way that you can regurgitate the information. My cat is going to knock over my hole. Sadie, don't step. Anyways, learn the information in a way that you can re-say the information. If you can't say it really in simple terms, then you're not learning it really, in my opinion. It's a growing process, so not as much practice as I need to, but we are moving forward, and I think studying the basics on some things and really getting some nitty-gritty time in to focus on the things that I lack, and that's going to be a lot of areas, is going to make me feel better about my art and will help me get more joy out of creating things for you guys, with you guys. It's going to be fun. If you're an aspiring artist yourself and you're going through these steps and found tips and tricks that are helpful, please comment them down below. You notice something that I'm doing that I can maybe tweak a little bit better or throw away and replace it with a better thing, let me know. Shoot me a comment. So happy that you're here joining me through this bumpy process. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And yeah, hit that notification button so you see the next video that comes out. Again, thanks so much. Have an awesome day. See you later.